Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show of shows. From the stage that history rebuilt, this is Live at the Mayflower with your host, Wes Martin.
Here we go. Welcome to the second ever episode of Live at the Mayflower with two incredible guests sitting here with me. We've got the one and only Cronk. You can correct that if I pronounce your last name wrong. I don't know if I've ever said it properly.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Then we've got Carter Smith, a current Hoosier, younger fella. First time that we've all met. Well, me and Coy obviously known each other a long time, but the first time meeting Carter just tonight. So excited for the conversation. It's already been a fun conversation. Yeah. Just a couple of Hoosiers hanging out, rekindling the Hoosier football spirit. So, thanks guys for coming out. Appreciate it. You guys both made the drive over. Coy, you're up closer to Indy. I'm not going to say Lafayette because it just sounds inappropriate to say.
Bad blood.
This sounds weird to say. Yeah. But my man over there made the drive up from Bloomington. I'm very familiar with that drive, so I appreciate it. So welcome.
Thanks for having us, big dog, and it's an honor to be here with you. And we've had a lot of great times, and keep adding to that memory bank.
Oh, I love it.
Appreciate you bringing us to the beautiful Mayflower. It's a beautiful bar. You did a great job here. Excited to see how it turns out.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Little early pub. I love that. I appreciate it. So, guys, we'll just dive right into it. I want you guys to just give a little brief intro. Just wind it back. Coy, as a wee lad, growing up over there in Delphi. Delphi, Indiana. Yep. You grow up. You venture. You find your way to Indiana. After Indiana, you popped around a little bit. You were a Hawkeye for a little bit.
Yep.
And then we're still in the league.
Yeah, still going after it. Yeah. I'm from a small town in Indiana called Delphi. It's probably about 3,000 people. We just added a second stoplight, so that's a big deal. But I ended up going to a high school in Lafayette, which is obviously right across the street from Purdue. And I felt like, I was a heck of a high school player, and, I wanted to stay close to home. And, I kept showing up to Purdue, and the time it was Coach Hazel, and I could barely get in his door. The offer never came. So then, like November of my senior year, in walks Kevin Wilson, and he's like, "You want to come be a Hoosier?" And I was like, "Well, no one else really wants me, so if you'll take me, I'll gladly come." That led to a heck of a life there in Bloomington for 4 years. I got to start 40, 50 games, something like that. Get to play next to you, cover up a lot of my mistakes. So that was awesome.
How much did I communicate with you?
Not a word. I remember the first game I ever played. I was 18 years old. First game of the year. We're down in Miami. I mean, it's smoldering hot outside. And I'm like, we were playing FIU, so Wes probably wasn't even too concerned. They weren't the most physical team. And I just remember lining up for the first play, and I'm like, trio. And Wes is like, and that was pretty much the only communication we had for 40 games. Ever. And it worked out well.
It's all we ever got out there to each other.
A few hard grunts. I knew the Oxman was ready to roll.
Yeah, we knew what needed to get done. Well, we also, I think it's important to note that we probably ran 3 plays.
Yeah, that's true.
For a certain stretch there. I mean, I remember a specific Michigan State game where we legitimately only ran inside zone for an entire game.
Yep.
That was the only run play we ran.
Yep. That might have been the only night win we ever had, looking back on it.
Did we win that game?
Yeah, that was my freshman year.
No, that wasn't the big – this isn't the big win. This is – I don't think we won this game.
If you're going to flip a coin, it was probably a loss.
It was the game number 48. The white DN just crashed everything that we did because we only ran inside zone for an entire game.
Yeah.
I think he ended with like 22 tackles or something. I don't think we won that game.
No, probably not.
Sorry, I derailed you. Go back to
Oh, no. Anyway, then I got to play 4 years at Indiana. That was an awesome time. 2019 comes along, my final year, supposed to be my last year. Looking to get drafted and kind of follow kind of what you did. And then fourth game of the year, playing a really bad UConn football team. First quarter, blocking left, ball comes my way. Linebacker comes, dives, misses the ball carry, catches my leg. And, ankle fracture, dislocation, whole bit. Missed 18 months of football after that. Ended up going to Iowa, went undrafted, played 4 years now, hoping for a fifth, seeing where life takes me. But, it's just been an incredible journey.
Oof, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a good sentiment to add on to the end.
Quick question for you fellas. Did you boys ever have any trouble with the footwork and stepping on feet and stuff, getting pissed at each other like that?
Honestly, I don't think so.
No, Wes was, as you know, if you have a 3 technique and you're having a B block, inside or outside zone, if you have a guard that goes in there 1-2 firm into him and doesn't really give up too much ground, it's kind of you on if you hit him as a tackle, it's kind of on you because he was always kind of doing his job. So we didn't have too much of that. Now, I did let him get ear hold on a couple ETs a few times, but
that's bound to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It happens once in a while.
It does.
You tackles, just let your guards just get smacked in the face.
That led to a couple more, you know what I mean? So I know that's Wes's love language.
That's how you knew you had me though. When I was give you a couple grunts, that you knew I was locked in. I was ready to roll for the day.
Absolutely.
All right, Carter. I know you're a Columbus guy, but yeah, give me the story.
Yeah, well, I was originally born in Tampa, Florida. I only lived there for like a year and a half, though.
You look like maybe you spent some time in Tampa.
What is
Florida.
it, the slick back? I actually just got back from last weekend. It was my grandma's birthday. So
I can tell the culture creeped back in on you. I like it.
I had to escape this terrible cold, man. Like I can do with the snow, but 3 months straight does something to a person. So I need a little bit of sun. So I made my way. My dad got a new job up in Ohio, so that's where I grew up. Grew up in a little place called Powell, probably about 20 minutes north of Columbus. Growing up around Ohio State football, but was never really interested. I was more of a hockey fan growing up. Watching the Columbus Blue Jackets. Always good times, good memories with my family and my friends. I got into football around age 6, and trying a lot of other sports and almost being done with it in high school. Just like, hey, maybe this won't work out. Like, I'm kind of skinny. Like, maybe I could be a camp counselor or something, and get something good on my college credit. My brother's like, don't do that. That is a terrible idea. So COVID hits. I probably gained about 30 to 40 pounds of 250 going in my junior year of high school. We weren't even sure if we were going to play football at that point. I'm sure you guys probably know a little bit about that if you were playing around that time. But we ended up playing the whole season. 2 games in, got my first Division I offer. And I just knew what I could do. That was my second varsity game, already rolling in something like that. And I'm like, wow, I need to stick with this. So by the end of the season, Indiana eventually rolled into the picture, and we talked about it. I went to the same high school as Hunter, so I had that pipeline right there.
Shout out Hunter Littlejohn, my man.
Yes, sir.
Roommate for a couple years. Great dude. Love you, Hunter.
Absolutely. So getting to talk with him, he had a good relationship with Hiller, so we got connected through that. Took my visit in the summer of 21 after my junior season, and just fell in love with the town, man. Great culture, and everyone on the team was super cool. Tim Weaver took me out. He was my host. I'm pretty sure he's with a normal job now, but found myself in Bloomington, and I do not regret it one bit.
Oh, I love it. Speaking of Bloomington, do we have any good Bloomington townie stories? Just kind of getting into the mix of it. We got any out there that we remember?
That's always a loaded question for my time in Bloomington. Definitely enjoyed it, probably more than I should have. Probably should have worked a little bit harder. But no, just your usual, rough bump at the bar, immediately trying to fight and just being like, not today. But nothing too crazy.
I love that. It always added, when you drove around Bloomington, there was a lot of energy created by some of that local culture, and it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I was driving around town in my GMC Sonoma, and it was leaning to the left. Because I don't know if anyone knows what a GMC Sonoma is. It's an S10. You probably know it as a Chevy S10. But the shocks on the left side just completely gave out. So I would literally drive around town and be leaning to the left, making my way around Bloomington. And wow, I love that city, man. Town, city, it's probably a city, right?
Yeah, the city of Bloomington.
Yeah, there's enough people there.
Over 100,000. That's a city.
Fantastic.
In my opinion.
Okay. Hoosier football. What comes to mind when we talk about Hoosier football? What you got, Coy?
I mean, for me, up until recently, when I would look back at Indiana, obviously I had a great time, great career in my opinion and stuff. But I always kind of felt just a little bit different about it, after transferring and whatnot. Just for me, going through that injury and some other hardships in my personal life and whatnot, losing loved ones and that, I just felt like I needed a fresh start. And so when I left, it was, to me, it was like such a big deal. And, I always kind of put it in the back of my mind and, I'm never going to think about this again. No one likes me there. Like, I just felt.
Look at you now.
Felt ostracized a little bit. And I would say 99% of that was just in my own head.
Hey, I like you, man.
Thank you.
I like you.
Thank you. But now looking back on it, like, it was just such an incredible time, and all those worries I had in my head and doubts, like I said, for me, it was just all 99% mental. And I look back on it as genuinely some of the best years of your life, just because, people don't realize it's such a big difference playing in college and living with, the people you play next to, and, it's just so much different. You spend year round. There's only, 12 games. I guess now you guys play, they play a lot more, but it's really just 12 Saturdays out on the field, and the rest of it.
The boys are rolling,
The boys are rolling.
When the boys are rolling, you start.
Just being able to look back on that and be like, man, we got to, form those kind of bonds. It's just way different, as when you get to the NFL. Like, you're still friends with everyone, but it's a job, and there's 15 new guys that rotate throughout a year. A lot of cuts, a lot of this, a lot of that, and you just didn't have that in college. So looking back, some of the greatest years. Just being with the same guys and trying to go out there, and it means just a little bit more.
For sure. I think there's an interesting dynamic when you go from high school to college and then college to the pros. When you're in high school, it's almost like every step you take, it almost becomes kind of like less personable, if you will. In high school, you're playing with kids, you're not, guys that you grew up with your entire life, and there's something really cool and special about that. And this last year, I got to volunteer coach for the old Milton Union Bulldogs. Shout out the Bulldogs.
Come on.
And this year and then in years past when I was around, I would talk to the kids and make the note that, like, I've gotten to play in a lot of cool places, right? Like, in a lot of cool environments. I've played with and against some phenomenal football players, and there's really nothing that compares to high school football still to that. Just the camaraderie. It's bad football, right? Like, there's just dudes flying everywhere. Like, there's no technique. There's no structure. It's just mass chaos.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. Like, that's what makes high school football so great. And you're playing with guys that you've known your whole life.
Yeah.
And then you get to college, and for the most part, well, now it's different with the whole transfer portal and stuff. But when I was in college, you at least thought that you were locked in for 4 to 5 years with those guys. So you started to build bonds, and that became special. And you were going out there on Saturdays with guys that you knew, and there were solid relationships in place. And it was different from high school, but still really cool. Then you get to the pros, and it's a different. It's a totally different beast.
Yeah.
Like, there's relationships are a lot harder to come by. Like, bodies are in and out all the time, especially, for a guy like me I was a mid-level draft pick, and then I was never like the guy, right? So I was always, almost felt like I was, a mistake away from getting the boot out the door. Yep. And there's just something weird about that. And then I felt that way in my position, but then I'm actively seeing it every day, 10 new bodies roll in. And you're like, you watch them walk in. You immediately know, because they're in street clothes or whatnot. You're like, okay, any lineman? Okay, we're good. Or oh shit, there's 4 of them. Like I'm in trouble. And there's just
to say the least.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, really. Yeah. Like you show up every day unsure of like you're like, okay, am I going to be working? A 9 to 5 tomorrow, or am I going to be here for another 3 years? And you really have no idea unless you're like a big contract guy or a vested starter. It's pretty crazy. Not to freak you out at all.
I ain't scared of nobody.
It's not going to be you. All right.
I ain't scared of nobody.
That's not going to be you. You're going to be you're going to do just fine.
Yeah, it's definitely not to sound like bitter, and it's obviously. There is the upside of you do get to make a lot of money, which is obviously great. It's afforded. You have a lot of opportunities. I have a lot of opportunities. It's been an awesome part of it. But yeah, like you said, the flip side of that is, if you're on the bottom half of that roster and you can do everything right, but a DB goes down, your name gets called to get cut, and it's like, hey, I didn't even do anything wrong.
I had a great week.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was sweet until about 20 minutes ago.
I'm balling, all right?
Yeah, you bring your iPad. I'm like, wow, son of a gun's not even charged, dude. I mean, I guess I'll bring it in, but it's not something. To be, worried about or strifled about. It's like, bottom line, end of the day, like. I've come to find out like 99% of people don't use their physical gifts and talents to make a living. There's always some other aspect to it or whatever. But it's like, hey, bottom line, end of the day, you gonna line up and block that Pro Bowl guy who's 350 pounds, breathing chili down your neck, or you can't. And if you can't, we'll get a young buck like this guy. So it's just so much different, but it is great. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more of that. Like.
Yeah.
Today might be the last day.
Sorry, I opened it up very.
There is positives.
I opened it up very.
It's not all bad.
No, there's tons of upside.
No,
to it.
You are right.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, it gives you. It opens up a lot of doors. Great opportunity. Yeah. You make some good coin.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Sorry. I'm not ungrateful.
Yeah. No, I get it. Oh, I definitely get it though.
Yeah, I don't even remember where this all started, but I was just trying to touch on the personable aspect of football and how it changes at the different levels.
100%.
And then it just got.
You are right though.
Then it just got really sad, and I was kind of threw a little pity party.
No, we said we were going to wing it. It's all part of it. It's all part of the podcast, man.
I told you there was no script.
I do have a question for you, Carter, as a guy who's still in it and playing college ball, coming off a heck of a year. What's something? You got to play against a lot of these top teams. Notre Dame went to the national championship. Ohio State won the dang thing. You played them both. And obviously those 2 games didn't go your guys' way. And trust me, Wes and I have been on the on the other side of a few whompings by the old Ohio State Buckeyes, unfortunately. But what is something you take away, specifically those 2 games, that maybe you weren't maybe prepared for, or something you can do a little bit different to elevate your game? Because I know your goal is to get drafted and play this game for a long time and earn a lot of money. And so what's something going into potentially your last year that you're like, hey, this is what I'm going to get better on, this is what I'm focusing on, and where does that take you for this offseason?
I would say the biggest thing for me this year is just be knee deep in the weight room. There's nothing more important to me right now. That I know that I can move well and I know that I can fit well on a defender, but I lack strength. And that's something that I know that I need to build on this past season. I can still move guys, but there's definitely some improvement to driving a dude 10 yards down the field rather than what I can do right now. So strength is a big aspect of it for me. I would say I need to get a little more well-versed with my new teammates. I'm pretty good now because there's a big, change. Most of the JMU guys came over, and we had a really good shift in culture from them because we made a big emphasis on this. The JMU guys come in, they played with Signetti already. They already know what it's like to win. And then they come to Indiana to a place that's pretty dry with that, and what? Not to flame it, not to flame. I meant at the time.
It's true.
At the time,
it's true. You couldn't have put it.
The way that we thought of it is that there are guys who have been here that have seen a lot of loss that are just itching, begging for a win. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest things, making sure that our culture does not change in that aspect. Keeping winning as the number one goal. And I think we've been doing pretty well this season. We have a lot of young guys who, the entire offensive line room of 25 commits all came early enrolled. So they're all with us already and they're rolling. And they're doing great so far. Just making sure that everyone, I already know, and I'm pretty sure most of the program knows that I am fully invested in this team and I will do anything for this team. I'm just trying to make sure that everyone around me is feeling the same. That way we can have the same kind of success that we did last season and more.
Ooh, I love it. Wow, that was just, first off, your question was very, that was top notch.
Thank you.
Have you thought about ESPN school?
No, I just had a long drive over. I figured I'd write some notes.
Yeah.
So that came up.
The response was just top.
Beautiful.
He rounded it out with I'm fully invested and I just got to get, That was legit, guys.
Well, you keep doing what you're doing, man. It's exciting, but it is. But a testament to the culture. I know I felt it when I was playing Indiana on the sidelines. Even if we're having a great game, it always kind of felt like if it was tight in the fourth quarter, especially if we're on the road, you almost waited for something to go bad instead of sometimes just going out there and taking it.
100%.
And we had, Peyton Ramsey as our quarterback. He was a little bit different of a guy. Obviously, not the biggest arm, but he had that competitive spirit. So we definitely won a lot more with him. And then Mike coming in, later on, first round talent, gonna win games. Great quarterback. So it did progressively get a little bit better. But there's definitely times, especially if it wasn't going our way, it was like, oh, here we go. It could be another
for sure
long plane ride back. Hopefully packed a couple Busch Lights or something. It's gonna be a long day. So it is good to hear that. Well, you're not even here. You can turn on the tape from last year. You guys got after it. A lot of belt ass, I like to call it. So that is pretty sweet. And another question I had about just kind of the differences, because it's crazy, I'm sure for a lot of people to be like, 10-win Indiana. It was always a hashtag to start the year. It wasn't really reality 8 games in,
Shatter expectations, 11-win Indiana.
Yeah.
Your boy was shooting for 6 and 6, man. We were hyped to 500.
Yeah, we get to go to the Foster Farms Bowl on Christmas Day. Yeah, dude, that's what everyone dreams of. But in a sense, you were there with Coach Allen, and then now you have all this newfound success with, Coach Signetti. What is something, if you could pinpoint it, that Coach Signetti just brings every day? Obviously, he looks intense on the sidelines, but is there something maybe out throughout the week that he emphasizes, or something like that maybe we don't have as just fans looking in?
He touches on it a lot. I would say what he praises the most is upholding the standard. So like what I just talked about earlier, making sure that everyone is just as invested as pretty much the top guys on the team. Everything has to roll in sync, and he is a tight commander. I'll tell you that. If you're doing something wrong, he's going to get after your ass. I remember my first spring ball with him. I was doing a pass set, and my buddy Mikhail poked me in the eye right through the helmet, and I couldn't see crap for about 2 minutes. So I go off to the side, and Signetti walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he's like, "Then get out there! Get your ass back on the field!" So he's going to make sure that if you're capable to do the job, then that's what you're going to do. So he runs a tight ship. And, I love Coach Allen. I'll never say a bad thing about him. He's one of the best men that I've ever known. And he praised a lot on the family aspect. But, sometimes things just don't really work out your way. So, and he's doing well. I'm pretty sure he's DC at Clemson now. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure he got a bag too. So it could be worse.
I loved Coach Allen. The time I had with him, he was fantastic. And I think I just saw a clip of him like 2 days ago down at Clemson in the middle of a dog pile with his defense getting everybody riled up.
That sounds about right.
I'm like, Coach Allen, like that's where you need. That's exactly right. Like where you need to be.
Yeah.
Like I am happy for you where you're at right now. Like it just makes sense. I'm also, super excited. I can't wait to meet Coach Sig. Hopefully get over there for the spring game. If not the spring game, this coming fall. But I'm excited to meet him and get a feel for what the mind behind this winning culture shift is.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I love just the bold statements and the just kind of putting it out there on the table, man. Just in it worked. It worked.
It did.
It also put the nation on notice.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen so many news outlets. I mean, across the country, people are talking about Hoosier football, and it's great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just seeing it, sitting there, getting home from meetings, Saturday morning walkthroughs, and going back and watching it. It was just amazing to see. But you're right, a lot of chatter about it. But it's like, hey, guys, it seems like a fearless leader out there. You know what I mean? If he's gonna back down, why wouldn't we? You know what I mean? I think they do. I think he does a phenomenal job of getting you guys ready to play. And it's, that Purdue game.
Oh yeah,
My
man.
goodness.
Out in the snow.
Oh, my goodness.
That was a great.
That
night.
running back of yours, I think they wanted him for assault and battery, man. He was
Talking
running
about
people.
juice.
He was running over people.
Shout out Justice Ellison, baby. Juice.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I'd love to watch that. I'd love to watch that. That was awesome.
It was beautiful. Coy, as he was talking a little bit ago about some technique stuff. Well, it's actually when he was talking about the weight room, I had a flashback to you when you were a freshman. What'd you weigh as a freshman? Maybe 260?
Yeah, I played at 260.
Yeah, I played at 260. Came in. Freshman All-American though, right?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Ooh, it's all right.
Yeah, I didn't feel like one. I can
Let
tell
him
you
know.
that.
Let him know.
I didn't feel like one.
I don't remember who we were playing. I think like Indiana State or somebody, our first game of the year. And at that time, me and Greg Fry had a very interesting relationship where it was our personal relationship was strictly based on my performance level. So if I was playing well, we were really good friends. If I wasn't, we weren't chatting a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But I think it was the first game of the year. First time me and you were playing next to each other. And I don't know, I'm sure I screwed something up or whatnot. Didn't have much success. And we roll through the film. We come up on a clip of young Cronk just absolutely losing his mind on the field. This man is just I don't remember. I think we were running probably like a tight zone. We were on the backside. I think you maybe had like I don't know. I don't remember the play exactly, but I can picture just your body movements on tape, and it was just pure chaos. And somehow, it must have been a combo, because I think you ended up working up to a linebacker, and your head's like just bobbling the whole way up to this linebacker, and then you just go I think you dive maybe, like I think you leave your feet and just completely committed.
Yeah.
You were committed. No one ever questioned.
100%.
No one ever questioned your commitment to getting the job done.
The crazy part about it, like you said, like playing in the Big Ten at 260, sure as you can imagine, it's not a recipe for success. So I definitely had developed a couple of bad habits I had to break. But they were just kind of born out of necessity of trying to survive, I would say,
100%.
But, God blessed me with a really big head, and I just wasn't afraid to knock someone with it, just to get in the mix a little bit.
You would throw. I've never seen someone use their head as a weapon more consistently.
Yeah, I've come to find out using your hands works a touch better, but it was a great jumping off point, I would say.
But really, it set the foundation. It set the tone, is what it did.
Yeah,
the tone was set. Everyone knew.
Yeah.
If I'm a linebacker in the Big Ten, we're about to play Indiana. I better watch out for that left tackle.
Yeah.
Because that giant melon might come slinging my way soon.
Yeah, it was
tough,
dude, especially when you're lining up and it's Danny Friend, who's like 290 playing tight end. I'm 260. We got Big Wes about 310. I'm sitting there like, the odd man out, being like, God, please don't line up as a 6 tech. Like, let me hit the hip on a 9 and get on out of here.
Let Danny.
Yeah, let Danny block him. He's pretty good at this stuff, dude. I remember when I first got to Indiana. We were sitting there, and Dan Feeney, I got to play with him last year up with the Vikings. He's still the greatest guy in the world.
Yeah, I got to ask you about that after you.
He's the greatest guy in the world. I remember showing up to the first summer workout, and I actually showed up late because we were still playing baseball, and I was playing in the high school state championship, so I showed up 2 weeks late to summer conditioning. Probably can imagine what I was doing in my free time. Wasn't a whole lot of lifting and running. And I showed up and got done to, do our first run. I'm puking. No big deal. Just going to pull trig real quick. Started puking. Afterwards, I was like, hey, let's run some O-line drills. And we're going to start with the pass set. I looked up. I'm like, I don't think I've ever passed that before. So, yeah, that first year was I hope they burned every tape imaginable. That's what I hope.
But I will say we got a chance, and I want to go back to Dan Feeney in a minute because Dan is just an American treasure.
Yeah.
But we got a chance to play together just a couple years ago with the Jags.
Yep.
So I got to see the pass set really just come full circle.
It only had one way to go.
What?
It only had one way to go. It couldn't have started worse. I mean, it couldn't have. It couldn't have.
While we're on the topic, that was a very obscure off season, at least for me.
Which one, Bubba?
With the Jags.
Oh,
that was so strange. I'll never forget. I was playing. I was looking around. I was like, I think I'm playing pretty decent ball.
No,
right now.
This is.
Like,
I know where you're going.
I think I'm like the sixth man in the rotation.
And this is
right?
the part that no one understands about the NFL. If you're not the GM's guy, if you're not, plugged in sort of way, Wes Martin comes into training camp. Well, you got there into OTAs, right? If I remember right.
Yeah.
So we get through our off-season training. We start training camp. Wes Martin. 3 weeks, belt to ass, best football I've ever seen him play in my life. I don't think he lost a one-on-one rep. Sure as shit didn't lose in game. I mean, he's highest graded person on the team. Last week of training camp gets cut. Everyone's like, "What are you doing?" And basically they're just like, "Well, thought he could have been a little bit better, so we got rid of him." It's like, well, if we can't even reward the guy with the highest grade on the team, like, what kind of message is that?
Okay, now you're scaring me a little bit.
It's just you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
You'll be all right. No, but I'll never forget.
That was insane.
I got a phone call, which was weird. Like, why not just come get me? Got a phone call. Hey, GM wants to meet with you. I don't even remember who the GM is or was.
Trent Baalke.
Okay, all right. And they're like, hey, yeah, he wants to meet with you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, honestly, I was heading down thinking like it was going to be positive. Like, hey, we think you're playing good ball. Like, we plan on you sticking around. Like, this is going well.
Yeah.
And then the conversation starts, and he's like, yeah, we made a trade with the Packers, and we're going to bring this guy in. We think he's a little more versatile. He's got a couple more. He's had a couple more reps at a couple different positions. He can play tackle. Yada yada. So, and he's saying all this. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to Green Bay. Like, I'm a part of a trade. Like, is that what this is?
Right.
And then we're winding down like that. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll walk out of here and get on the phone with the wife, and I guess we're heading to Wisconsin. Yeah. And then in like his finishing remarks, he's like, yeah, so that's why we had to cut you, and good luck with what's next. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You couldn't hint at that a little sooner, maybe?
Yeah. And Trent gave me so many opportunities and helped me make a lot of money. He's actually played quite the prank on me one time. My first active game in the NFL. I think it was a home game, but it was a home game. So we pulled up to the team hotel the night before, and I'm like, there's a few empty parking spaces here. So I'm like, I'll go up to the one closest to the door, see what happens here. And I walk in, I think, shit's sweet. I don't think much of it. Sitting there, and 2 hours of meetings later, I'm getting up and hey, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, is that your white truck? Yeah, no, that's me. I'm like thinking like, that's a pretty good park job, right? And he's like, get your ass out there and move it. And I'm like, all right. So I go out there and move it, and I, thought he was serious. And I walk in next day, Monday, and sitting in my locker, $8,000 fine. Ooh. For conduct detrimental for parking a trend spot. And he came up to me. He's like, this is what we got to do. You got to learn a little discipline in your life. Come to find out, the whole thing was a joke. He didn't actually care. But I'm like, I went there for a good 3-hour practice, thinking I lost $8,000. I was like, oh my goodness, dude. But
that's tough.
It is. But back to the original point, it is nuts to see. And that was kind of like my first year in the NFL was with Urban Meyer. Man, talk about a bad year. I think we won 2 games or something like that. But so a whole new staff comes in and whatnot, and so it was like my first real training camp. My first one was in Green Bay, got cut, so I didn't even know really kind of how it worked from after cuts to week 1.
Right.
So we get to this training camp, and I'm like, all right, last one didn't go so hot for me here, so. At least I got my buddy Wes, and I'm seeing wow, Wes is balling out.
Dude,
I'm like, this is the best training camp I've seen anyone have. We got guys making a lot of money out here, Wes is putting them in their place. I'm like, holy cow! And to see him get cut, and I just as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, well, I don't know much about this business. I don't know. I just don't know.
I'll never forget, I walked in. After that, they sent me to Big Phil's office. Yeah. Big Phil Rauscher, shout out Big
Great
Phil.
guy.
Has he
I actually was just in Jacksonville. They let him go with the staff, but I don't think he's anywhere. I don't think he's anywhere right now.
Got it. How did his weight loss journey go well that year after my departure?
No, but and when I got up, because I had a similar thing, trade, I get cut, move up to Minneapolis, and he was still larger then, but I bumped into him 2 weeks ago. He looks good, dude.
Yeah,
he looks really good. He's got like the taper mullet, skinny.
Wow.
And I was walking those beach bars,
Yeah.
You can imagine. And I bump into him. Phil, you're still sober, aren't you, Bubba? He goes, oh yeah, I'm just out here having dinner. I'm like, oh God, probably shouldn't have led with that. But no, he's a good guy.
I love it.
He's a good guy.
Anyway, I went into his office and I'm just sitting in there, and he walks in, and he either has a great poker face or he was honestly shocked, and I think it was the latter. And he's like, Wes, what? Why are you in my office? We have practice in 20 minutes. Why are you sitting here? And I'm like, joke's on you, Phil. I'm not going to practice.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
I think he walked back out of the room, came back in. He's like, what are you talking about? And that was a pretty wild one.
Yeah.
Other cuts I had in the NFL where I was like, okay, I get it, I saw it coming. There's 30 of linemen, you just drafted 6, Yeah, I'm probably on my way out.
Yeah.
But that one was interesting. Carter, what does this make you think, man? Does this get you fired up?
I'm telling you, there's great parts to this job, man.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic
parts.
Great. There's great people. You're gonna make great friends, and you're gonna have a lot of success.
Well, competition's always a part of it, but if you're the best guy in training camp and that happens, I'd imagine there's some strange thoughts going through your head, but
probably
just go. My whole mindset, just go at it with a positive attitude. Whichever team decides to take me, if there's one, I'm gonna give them everything I got. So, and whatever happens. That's not up to me. So, we'll see how it goes.
I like that mindset.
And I will say too, more than likely going to be drafted. Knock on wood, everything health-wise and all that stuff goes well. So it is a little bit different coming in like that. But another great thing about it is too, and you hear the downsides and the cuts, and trust me, I've been cut 7-8 times. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's just another day at the office for me. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. But I think a cool thing that especially I needed was it's just a humbling experience to go from being the top dog and you're a great college player, and everyone, even the first overall pick comes in and gets humbled. So it's just kind of cool to looking back on it to be like, hey, going from top to bottom and then making my way and sticking. You know what I mean? Like there is something that's awesome about that kind of journey, you know? So it's really not all bad at all, and the pay's great and stuff, but it's definitely one of those things you can kind of tell the longer you play, the type of guys that have success and repeated success, they're all kind of the same person, the perseverance, the, willing to listen, all the stuff it takes to be a good football player. Then there's guys that kind of turtle up and get shell-shocked once they're not, the starter coming out in training camp and they're not the same player that they even were 6 months ago. Just the mental part and be able to grind, that kind of mindset and morph yourself into, hey, I'm starting left tackle and it's been great for 50 games, and being like, hey, I might have to flip over. I might have to do, whatever it's asked of me and create the value. I think it unlocks something in you, and it really just allows you to take ownership of, this is my craft, this is my job, I'm a professional, what am I going to do, So if there's anything I would tell you going into that, it's just like, first of all, the leadership stuff you're talking about, all excellent. They're going to turn to you. You're the stalwart of the O-line, had a heck of a season. You got big ambitions, and you should, So obviously that part, but I would also, any little part that I would think I have a weakness, when that time comes and you're playing in the NFL and it's your first live bullet, I'm not really great at front side of play action. I hope it's not a 9. Shoot, it's a 9. Like if there's any sort of part of your game right now that you think, don't love that on the call sheet, like this guy, this guy can hum a little bit. I don't know if I can block him. I would, whatever that is for you, I would just harness that, because that, in those high pressure moments, for me, it always seemed to come up. I was always wide 9, shoelaces pointing forward, speed to bowl, let's go, So then eventually you get used to it, and you get better at like anything. But that's just one advice I would give, is just whatever that little, all right, I think would help you tremendously, especially if nothing else, confidence,
Yeah, like I will piggyback that while we're on the advice train. Like if you, I always felt like if you ever run away from your weakness, like it's always going to end up really bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I was growing up, you playing baseball, and if I was playing third base, and I would I really hope they don't rip one down the line. But as soon as that thought enters your mind,
yes,
there's a rocket that's shooting right down the line
every time.
And that holds pretty true. Like if you go into a game and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy, this move, he's really good at this, or he's really good against the run, or whatever it is. This guy can really get after the passer. And if you don't face that controversy, face on and kind of let it linger, and then let it show up in on game day. That's when I got in trouble.
Yeah, me too. 100% of the time. I would say 80% of the sacks I've given up in my career, I was beat before the play started. Wasn't some miracle move that it was just like, oh God, and then it happened.
Now I will say, there's also some guys out there that are just a lot better than me.
Yeah.
When I had to play Aaron Donald a couple times, it just went really bad. And for whatever reason,
he's pretty good.
The teams I was with, they're like, hey, we really like the matchup. Like we're gonna leave Wes one-on-one with this guy for most of the game. We like the matchup. Wes has really short arms. He's a little stiff in the hips. Aaron Donald's the best D tackle to ever play the football game. We like our odds. We are not going to send anyone over there to help him.
Yeah.
He's going to do great. And I appreciate the confidence they had in me. But also, did it not go well at all for you, boy.
Hey, Carter, I got a couple just ball questions, because Wes and I have spent years together and walking through different scenarios and whatnot. What does it look like for you? Obviously, you're not going to say it. You got to be, politically correct, and as you should be. But, some weeks, if you're playing a MAC school or whatnot, great players everywhere, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But at least for me, sometimes my film study that week might not have been the best, and might, had one little extra night out or here or there, something like that. Who knows? But what does it look like for a guy like you? You're playing a top flight DN. You know he's going to be a good player. You're a good player. What does it look like before you lace him up Saturday? Your typical week? Do you spend, hey, Wednesdays, I know Thursday we're going to do third downs, so Wednesday night I'm going to watch the third down package. Or are you just kind of walk me through kind of what you do, as a high level player for college football playoff team?
I gotcha. Well, I would say that in order to prepare myself for a specific player, once the day is done, before I go to bed, I'll crack the iPad out for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and I'll find, any little weakness that this dude presents. Like maybe his inside hand is down, and that always shows speed.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's going to be a little more lean to the inside, and that's going to tell me, oh, he's stunting across over the tee. Any weakness that they show on film is what I try to dissect and what I try to find and put into my game. If I'm feeling weak in a spot, like you said this earlier, if there's that one little thing in your game that you feel that you're not progressing and maybe I didn't do too well with it in practice that day, that's what I'm going to be doing for like 5-10 minutes right after practice gets out, get to my little corner and hammer it away. So
Sure.
That's probably how I prepare.
It's interesting you do it right before bed. I don't know if I could do that. I don't think I could do that.
Well,
I don't think
I'm
I'd want any negative thought before bed. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
Did your iPad ever get cracked open?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, dude. No, my book's not one time, as you can probably tell. But no, that is interesting. And would you say, getting off those types of questions, what was it like? We experienced this as well early in your career, not having the best home crowd advantage, I would safe to say. I'm sure the tailgate fields were undefeated as always.
They had a blast out there.
But you know what it was like maybe a little bit early in your career where not a whole lot of those fans are making it into the game compared to what you guys got to experience this year, which I think maybe once or twice our whole career we had a packed out Memorial Stadium.
And when that did happen, it was when we were playing Ohio State, and they just happened to be the same color as us. So they would take all their pictures that night, and that would go on next year's postcard of, hey, the Hoosiers are packing.
And we're on silent cadence, clapping. But yeah, but like I said earlier, like going from that sort of environment to actually having a true home crowd advantage, what's that been like for you?
Yeah, I'll start with this. Like my high school, we probably were able to hold about 5,000 fans. So until my first, what is that a lot?
Well, there's 3,000 people in my town.
We're in a decently sized area. I think we have about 10,000, but a lot of the local businesses like to support. So shout out to Old Tangy Liberty Football. We actually just won our first state title this past season, so that's pretty big for us. Actually, we're on a three-peat. We got baseball, football, and then hockey. All three straight, 3 seasons.
You guys had hockey. Huh.
Yeah, hockey's big for us.
USA hockey just took it to Canada.
Oh, tonight.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Rematch.
Get after them, boys.
The finals.
Go destroy Canada.
I love that.
For the 51st state, baby. Let's go. But, going from that environment, we switched over, and I got to Indiana, and being there all throughout 2021 as a recruit, like coming off the 2020 season, 8-2, only regular season loss to Ohio State. The place was pretty packed at the start of the season. I was there for the Cincinnati game. If you guys remember, like there's a questionable targeting call on Micah, and he got ejected. That's kind of where the season, I would say, kind of spiraled a little bit. But until up to the first few games, like the fans were really engaged, and it still got me excited. So I get there my first year. My first game, we're going out against Illinois, 2022, and we pulled off a great final drive in the fourth quarter, and we were able to win. I think we were about 3 quarters full that game, so it brought a lot of hope back. Yeah. The season starts to progress a little bit, and the fans start to die away a little bit, and it was kind of rough at first. Like I understand, starting to be on that aspect, and I'm still on the bench. It's understandable to see why that happens. And then next year comes, and I'm a glorified starter. And then being on that team where
what's a glorified starter mean?
Glorified starter?
Yeah,
maybe not glorified. That's probably the wrong word to use. I would just say like a defined starter. Like
okay,
I finally got my spot there, and so that was when I finally was edged in there and was put in there permanently. But being a starter for that long and still not having many fans come to the games, like kind of it was kind of tough to deal with. And then, enter Signetti 2024. We have a great start. The fans were a little questionable at first going in because we were playing a lot of the lower tier teams. We were going against, I think it was our first game was FIU, and then we went into Indiana State, or no, not Indiana State. We went to Western Illinois, smacked them 77-3 at home. That felt pretty good.
62-point spread, by the way. Covered that easy.
Oh, yeah. And, go out west to UCLA, like Coach Signetti said, and I like to say it too. Got the flight out there, kicked their ass, and flew right back home. People started to open up their eyes to how we played against a Big Ten team on the road in the West Coast with a time change. And, eventually he sent out an email to all the students and was like, hey, put the books down, study later, get your ass to the rock. And we were rolling. And it's been so awesome so far. Hoosier Nation has done a great job for us. And, we want to keep it rolling into the next season.
I love it.
I mean, you can't beat that.
God,
the smile creeping in, that was awesome.
The slick back hair, the smile.
Dude.
Oh, my gosh.
This
my
guy's
guy.
going somewhere. I like that.
He is what I wanted to be as an Indiana Hoosier.
We got stuck with the fros, dude.
Right.
We didn't have any of the slick back or anything.
Yeah.
Come summer, the buzz is coming back.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a little something in the winter for protection. That's just a science fact.
It's just good business.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I love it. I did want to ask, Coy, you didn't really mess with the NIL era, right?
No, I was
out.
gone. Yeah.
Also, I feel, when did you get to Indiana?
2022. So that was like the year, like it was just implemented.
Getting old. Getting old. Okay. So yeah, I wasn't really even close to the NIL era. So what has that been like for you? Because I remember back in the day, I mean, like if I got a free slice of pizza, like I was like jumping on the table. I was excited. It was illegal, so I felt a little, felt a little sporty. It was getting a little froggy.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, it's like it's just all bets are off. It seems like. So, from someone that's in the mix right now, like what's that like?
Yeah. Can you start off with like the collective? I see a lot of those tweets about a collective. Yeah. What is all that?
Yeah. So the collective is basically its own organization outside of the university, but supports the university mostly through all the donors that are already there. So like any donors that would donate towards scholarships or toward the university's athletic programs, also like to donate to that. So that way that can be directed not only as like a fan experience so that they can come in and meet players and they can hear the coaches talk about the upcoming season, but also for community outreach and helps us to put on events for all the fans. So the collective for Indiana does great work. Like I've been to a couple numerous events, like in 2023, we did a house building project. In 2024, there were a lot of donor events. Like we went to French Lick. There was a golf outing there. And then by the end of the day, it was me, a couple women basketball players, some of the men's basketball players, and some of the other football guys, just going around talking to everybody how their day went. And there's an art auction. They were talking about how excited they are for the season. And the collective works very well. Getting players to what they need, obviously.
Is that code for money? Is that like cold hard cash?
Don't quote me. I
just don't know if it's like a direct deposit thing or it's just like, hey, McDonald's brown paper bag, chucking her in the locker.
Hey, they do a great job. They do a great job. They've made every promise that they've made. They've fulfilled for almost all of their athletes, and coming in this new age, like it's kind of tough to find the line between professional and amateurism, but obviously we're not paid to play or anything, but having those experiences to be with the fans is very awesome, and it's great for both parties. So
is Monk's Barbecue still in town? Was it? No, different era of my life.
No, it sounds familiar. Where was it? Where was this?
What was the pink barbecue place? It was all
right
pink.
next to the.
You're talking about Smokin' Jacks.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's still in town.
It's still open.
It's still open.
Okay, have they handed out any NIL deal? I mean, does anybody have like free unlimited Smokin' Jacks?
Not that I've heard of, but like we can go to restaurants every once in a while. And I live right next to it. I'll just drive down there, grab some wings, and head right back home. So.
Oh my gosh, I ate there Oof, in a concerning amount. I mean,
Dude, that's sweet tea too.
Oof, fire. Yeah, across the board. I mean, that was a really solid place. There was a couple good. Let's pivot there.
Are we digging into Bloomington food right now?
Well, we don't want to get into your money, bro. We're not going to sit there and pocket
yeah,
watch it.
Hey, I'll dig into Bloomington food, man.
Yeah, that seems like a better avenue.
What's still so we got Smoking Jacks.
Did you guys have the it's the Eurovan, the food truck.
I don't think so.
Oh man, there's this dude and he's from Europe and he like came to the US so that he can start his own food truck.
That's what they all say.
And dude, he's posted up right outside of Upstairs Pub every day, every night. Like he's smart.
He's trying to cut into ZNC. Is ZNC still there?
ZNC is still there, yeah.
No, they got to get that guy off the block.
Is Bub's Burger?
Bub's Burgers is still around.
Yep.
I still have yet to do their challenge. I'm hoping to put my picture up on that wall.
You haven't done the challenge?
Soon. No.
They don't do the challenge with
No,
every
they do the
recruit that comes
challenge.
in?
I just haven't had the time.
Oh my god!
You can't be that busy.
I think I've done the challenge 3 times.
I'm coming for you, Bubs.
I think. Do they still have all the photos on the wall?
They do, yeah. At one of the locations, my mom's done it, and she has her picture up on the wall. So,
well, now you have to.
Yeah.
I have to continue it.
They've got to run out of wall space. There's only so much square footage, in
especially
it.
when you're on it 7 times. Probably doesn't help.
We can, we knocked.
You will put my picture back up on that wall.
We knocked it out a couple times.
Is Butch's still down there, or do they close up?
Butch's. Oh, wait a second. What they serve?
Well, they did it all, but they're most known for their pizza, and then they do these sandwiches with like fries.
Oh, that's right. Yes, it was right on 7th.
Yeah,
by Yogi's.
Yep.
Yeah. That is not around anymore. But I did have the pleasure of trying it. It was a good spot.
Oh my! I think
goodness. The owner's daughter was a student when like we were there. So I don't know if that was a factor. Maybe when she was done with school, they kind of
that was my spot.
Up and left. But that was oh my gosh.
Many of the $300 stipend we got went to that one.
That one sandwich was chicken tenders, cheeseburger patties, French fries, cheese curds.
Like they probably douse it in ranch.
Yeah,
they douse it in ranch.
Some sort of good sauce. I don't know what sauce exactly. Probably some variation of ranch.
Mayo. Yeah.
Wow,
dude, that place. I still think about that.
Yeah.
And they still have the 64-ounce pitchers over at Yogi's.
I'm 20 years old.
20. Forgot. Look at this guy. My fault.
Yeah.
God, it's a great spot too.
Soon you will know.
Soon I will know.
I love that.
That's crazy. So going into your 4th playing year, right?
That's right, yeah.
20 years old.
When did you?
Pretty special.
When I feel like I was old. Like I was long in my career when I turned 21. I think I was younger in the grand scheme of things. I was younger for my class.
Yeah.
What year were you in?
My 3rd, but mine was right after the season, so it kind of all blended together.
I remember
you were 14, right? High school.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll never forget 21st birthday in Bloomington, Indiana. Kilroy's had it's called an inception shot that I think has legally been banned. Like I don't think Indiana liquor control allows them to serve this drink anymore. It was the most absurd thing on the planet, where they would have at the bottom would be a picture of UV blue. So that's where you finished off. And then it was just a staggered, there was a mug hanging off of that. The mug had a couple drinks inside of it. Those drinks had a couple shots inside of them. And you had to go one after the other.
Oh my.
And it was not healthy. I mean, I should have never been allowed to have that drink.
Yeah, people are wondering, man, it's crazy Indiana to have that much success when you guys are there. As we're sitting there talking about French fried cheeseburger, chicken sandwich.
Yeah, what
you ever had the inception shot, brother?
What are the odds? Inception shot gets banned. Butch's
I can't figure it out. We should have won more ball games, dude. I don't know why.
Butch's leaves town. Next thing you know, they're winning games. Guys are in shape. They just,
you know what there is now, though? They just built a Taco Bell cantina where they serve
what is that?
From what I've heard, Baja Blast margaritas. So a boozy Taco Bell.
Gosh.
Where'd they put that in at?
That's down by the College Mall.
By like
Dangerous. By like the movie theater and stuff out there.
Yeah. You know that movie theater's not there anymore, actually. That one's closed. There's one still by the highway. That one's closed. It's like, so here's the College Mall. You got the intersection that goes all the way down towards the movie theater. It's like right here. So
tough. By BJ's,
like
right? The brew house?
yeah, BJ's is still there.
Yeah. There's an ice cream shop down there too that we frequented.
Jiffy's.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, Jiffy's.
there you go.
Why would you go to Jiffy's when you can just go get a BJ's Pizookie?
Ooh.
Nice warm cookie and good scoop of vanilla ice cream right on top.
Yeah. You know, something about supporting local, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's actually a
Yep.
great point.
Hey, I feel that too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So, guys, what's new in life right now? Anything that's happened recently? Anything on the horizon soon? Obviously, I know you got your potentially last year of college football coming up. What do we got? Where are we at right now? Off-season times, but what's on the horizon for us?
Well, I get to graduate in May from Indiana University's School of Public Health with a sport marketing management degree. Very excited about that. Going into my fourth year of college football, very excited about that as well. So we'll see what that's going to entail. Trying to up my golf game right now a little bit too.
Smart.
You know,
Smart.
Summer's coming around. Once the snow melts and that
Yep.
grass is green, it's calling my name. So
Yep, smart.
That is
Smart.
That's a solid move.
Yep, 100%.
If you ever get in the business realm, there's a good chance that golf game might carry more weight than anything you learn in a classroom.
that's right. Yeah.
Now, I don't quote me on that, but that might come up. That might come up.
Yeah.
Coy, what you got? What's on the horizon?
Well, just finished up year 4, which is sweet. Don't have a contract currently, so I'm a free agent, so that's not good, objectively. So, I'm staying in good shape. Basically, my whole philosophy is, it takes 2 hours to, call it 2. This time of year, probably less, but 2 hours a day, stay in good shape, and then working the old network in case the call doesn't come, for year 5. But I have made up my mind, like, I don't think, the juice is worth the squeeze to, maybe go to a different league like the Canadian or whatever the spring league is and get more game tape, then work your way back into the league. I just don't think having 4 years deep and, the amount of money versus the potential risk and health and all that stuff, for me, where I'm at, I've kind of made that decision where it's not the route I want to take. I would still love to play in the league, but if it's not the league for me, then that's all right too. I've done a lot more than I ever thought I would, and I never even dreamed of really playing professional football, just kind of fell into my lap. So obviously I love it and I'll work hard to do it, but I hope to have a wife and kids someday, and I don't know if I can be like, hey, I got my 4th surgery playing in Canada, and now I'm having a hard time later on. I just don't know if that's where I'm at anymore.
Yeah.
So obviously still working hard, but just also exploring other stuff. And, everything just kind of really excites me. As I'm like, try to be a positive guy. I try to, be happy and attack every day.
Happy, man. You are a positive guy.
Yeah, I always like to smile and see what's happening in life. So, whatever is next, I'm more than happy to jump through it. And, it's out of my hands. That's all God. I just kind of keep
Shout out
on.
God.
I just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Can't change life. Just let it happen.
I hear you, man. I went through a very similar thought process. I obviously, I wasn't anywhere this fall. I technically haven't retired yet, so I'm still.
Never submit the papers. Never. Keep the door open.
Always keep the door open.
You just never know.
You never know.
They're
Just
gonna come
don't
knocking
know.
at some point.
You just don't know.
You don't know.
The 18th guy goes down.
Oof.
I might be 19.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact. But no, I get where you're at. I
Yeah.
definitely went through that same thought process of, hey, okay, what's next? Is somebody going to call? If no one calls and somebody calls from a different league, do we entertain that?
Yeah.
And I went through the same thing. I was no, honestly. At that point, I was over the moon really with the career that I was fortunate enough to have. I got drafted mid-round, got my couple of vested years in, got all that stuff solidified, and then after a while, you just kind of look around. You're like, okay, it's all it's all it's all icing on top from here. Like I've been able to do more than I probably should have, been able to do, given certain circumstances.
Yeah. And another thing, like people just don't really like grasp, like especially if you've been able to do it for a couple, 2, 3, 4 years, like the jobs just don't, they come to you. You can't like keep knocking on doors, and if you're like a business salesman, or keep cold calling and hopefully you get one cut, like that's just not really how it works. It takes 2 to tango in this business, and if no one's calling you, it's kind of hard to get out there on the dance floor. So I don't think people realize that. It's just like you can't be like, well, if I worked harder and I fucking added 15 pounds to my bench press, I tore my pec benching last off season, so I know that didn't work. I can knock that off my list. But it's just such a fascinating world that so few people have had the experience of doing it. It's just it's just hard to put in perspective. It's like, well, you're in the prime of your life. You're 27. What are you talking about? You're thinking about. It's like, guys, if I had a contract right now, I'd be playing ball. Like, this is obviously what I want to do, but what am I going to do? Sit around from February to mid-training camp? Hopefully I get a call. Then you and I both know if you're a mid-training camp ad, what are the chances you make the roster? I mean, I'd give it less than 5%.
Right.
So it's either, you lose nothing by continuing to train for 2 hours and then exploring other options for the other however many so hours before you go to bed. It's really not the biggest deal in the world, but a lot of people in my circle just have a hard time wrapping their mind around it. It's just like, guys,
it's hysterical.
I'm not turning down offers here.
They're not knocking on my door. They're not crawling all over me here. I'm not beating them off with the bat.
27 years old, Mr. Training Camp, 2 big surgeries, and it's not great. Do I love it? Yeah, love ball. Always gonna love ball. We could sit here and talk about every different way you could block a 3 technique, and it would fire me up, and I love it. But sometimes life gets in the way a little bit.
It's hysterical. I've had so many people over the years, like in stints, especially the last couple of years, where I really had been the stints where I've been a free agent, and people are like, oh well, are you reaching out? Are you trying to get back in there? And I don't even know what my response is to that, but like, guys, it doesn't go that way. It does not work that way at all. Even if I do have some of those contacts, if I call them, I will immediately go to the bottom of the list. I will then become their least favorite person and look like a moron. Because that's not how the system works.
It is funny, though, now that, like, I'm in, 2 different worlds, it feels like right now. And, like, reaching out to, like, business people, different areas I'm, interested in. And like you
should take an old movie theater and turn it into a bar or restaurant.
I'm starting to get the vibe. I kind of like this.
That's what you should do.
But it's just so weird, like being in football for so long, and it's like you're on your own. Off season 3 months before OTAs. If you don't come in shape, you're gone. Like there's so much. It's just not a world where you reach out to people. You almost you seem like you're weak if you like ask for help. Kind of a deal. Not like mental health, everyone does a great job with that. I'm just saying in general, like, figure it out, dude. Like, that's just kind of the vibe. So, like, reaching out to people and be like, hey, you mind meeting for a coffee? Just trying to pick your brain for advice. It just feels like I'm, like, melting in my chair, like, asking for help. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels gross. So, like, overcoming that's been a big part of my day, I would say.
For sure. I would challenge you while you're still in school. I would say Indiana has a phenomenal alumni base. And there are big time opportunities right there on campus. I would say the one thing looking back, especially in my last year and a half at IU, mainly when I really didn't have any classes. I think my last year and a half I took like 4 credit hours.
Well, he's graduating in May. He'll know.
He'll know.
I could talk to Real Deal about that, can't I?
Yeah.
You'll be in
Real Deal.
You'll be in golf and stress management, and that's it for a solid year and a half. It'll be fantastic.
Sounds like a great semester to me.
Yeah, it is.
I lived that life. It was beautiful. I think I I beat Red Dead Redemption like 4 times.
The new one or the old one?
Well, this was back in 2017 or whatever.
Hey, if you find the time, go play that new one, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, good luck, pal. Got three kids. Yep. Whew. 3 kids under 4 years old. Red Dead Redemption is not coming back up on my television screen. Not going to happen. But I would challenge you. Looking back, I have no regrets the time I spent in that realm. Like just showing up to. I remember one time because they have athlete networking events. At least they.
Yeah, they still do those.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad they do. I remember a couple times I went to a couple like non-athlete networking events. Those got sporty, because
Never did it.
down at like the union hall or whatever it is, and they've just got masses of regular students. And for anyone that hasn't lived the life, like there's 100% a wall there between like student athletes and regular students, and not that like either side wants there to be a wall there. It's just a fact of the reality. I mean, when you're a student athlete, there's such a rigorous schedule and you're around those certain people all the time. Like there is naturally kind of some separation there. That's just, would you guys agree?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, so going to events that are just, campus-wide, crazy, but I will say, like you learn a lot. Like pretty valuable lessons can get learned in a setting like that, where you're super uncomfortable and you're forcing yourself to go approach people that you do not know and that are very different from you. Because it's a very diverse campus. There's people from all over the entire world going to school there. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on networking.
Yeah, well said, bro. Tough to follow that one up with something a little less serious. But honestly, if I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing or anything. But I would tell myself, especially the year you're about to have, dude, just especially with graduating, mate, congratulations, that's awesome. You got the hard part done. And just enjoy that, especially if it is going to be your last year. I don't know, you don't know the future, no one does, but all the little things that come up and all the stuff you hate, there's always a little bit of the job no one likes. It's just, looking back, I wish I would have spent a little bit more time and done a little bit more inside the room and with the guys and this, that, and the other thing. And obviously I got hurt that year, so I was kind of forced out a little bit being in the training room so much. But, you only get one shot. And as much as Wes is right on the networking and it is important and it takes little to no time to do it, good speaking guy, your life after football is not, I wouldn't worry about that as much as just anything you can do about the ass and, attack that full throttle. And I really, I got hurt on a freak play. I don't want to keep bringing up injuries or whatnot because, that's just a part of life and you can't take stuff back. But a part of me, and I know it was freak and a guy dove and I miss it, but a part of me wonders man, I know deep in my heart, I didn't work as hard as I could have gone into that season. Now, I still had good success in the 3 games I got to play, and the tape was good and all that. But, I don't know. I don't know if that's something, just a karma thing or whatever, but I still get a little bit of that. Maybe if I just worked a touch harder, I would have maybe finished that block a little better. If I would have, maybe I wouldn't be, And not to live with regrets is such a big part of it. But, like I said, I really wouldn't change anything, and it was a freak thing. But anything you can do, I'm telling you, you will not regret it, But, that's easy to say, hard to do. And you've had a heck of a time, and, you're probably a better player than me right now. But that's just what I would say, more than anything.
It is a fact, though. The only time regrets come up is when you didn't, exhaust every ounce of energy or every avenue or every option that was out there. If you pour everything you've got into whatever you're doing, and I'm not just saying this to you, I'm just saying this in general. I don't want this to sound like, oh, this is me and Coy just getting the young buck ready for his next stages in life. But I would say, to anybody listening, for me personally, the only regrets that ever come up is when, you left a little bit out there.
Yeah.
You look back and you're like, okay, I can lie to myself here, but I know deep down, like I could have poured a little bit more in. I could have taken a little bit more, and made a little bit more out of that situation.
100%. And that's true with anything, but you only get the one opportunity. And to be able to do it in college is just so much different. Like we were saying earlier, the relationships and everything, it's just such a beautiful thing, and it's so much hard work year round. And, like Wes and I are teammates in Jacksonville, like still only saw each other 2 months in an off season, and that's forced time there, and you get paid to be there. Like it's not like, we're pushing prowlers and doing all this stuff together like we used to back in college. It's just, you just get a different relationship and feel. But, enough of the advice. I know he's probably tired. What would your advice be to someone like me, Wes, who could be getting done with it? What is something you would tell someone like me?
Yeah, I would say to start putting yourself out there. I said you mentioned that you feel kind of awkward right now, because I get it. And I'm still kind of in that same realm where you're like, okay. Now me, I'm both of my feet are about out the door, where you're still kind of like you still have a heavy foot in the door.
Yeah.
But I would encourage you, just put yourself out there.
Did you have like a grand plan, being like, this is what I'm going to do? What you've done here. Did you have something like that,
Absolutely
or did you meet a couple of right people, stumble into it, kind of serendipitously?
No, we knew. We knew after my third year, we knew we wanted to invest in something back home so that we could start putting together an exit strategy, essentially. And the plan was not, okay, we're going to do this so that we can walk away immediately. It was just, okay, after a couple of years, you start to put together a decent forecast of what your career is likely going to be.
Yeah.
And now, of course, there's nuances to that where sometimes your career can take a major turn and you end up in the right place at the right time and things just really turn around. But the odds of that aren't great.
Right.
So my NFL career, rookie year started, I think, 5 or 6 games. Second year, whole new coaching staff, won the starting left guard spot. After week 5, playing the Rams, got absolutely destroyed by Aaron Donald. They pulled me in on Wednesday. They're like, "Hey, we just feel like you're just not getting the job done. We want to see the rookie play." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds great. Thanks for
it's always younger, isn't it?
Thanks for all the help.
It always is.
Thanks for all the help on Sunday.
Yeah,
appreciate that. You guys really helped me out.
Yeah."
But I was still on the active roster that whole year. I go into year 3, get cut coming out of training camp. I think 2 weeks later, get signed to the New York Giants 53-man roster. So I go up there. That locks in my 3 credited seasons or whatnot.
Yeah.
But really, as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, the turbulence is set, and that was my first feel of the turbulence of, okay, this isn't going to be all sunshine and rainbow. I'm not gonna ride it out in Washington for 12 years and then just call it a day. So after that third year, we're like, okay, let's figure out something that can be there to walk into. So we just started looking at different opportunities. At one point, I was having conversations all over the place. At one point we were having conversations about buying a towing company, this building, all sorts of other different, all across the board. We ultimately, when all this started, the idea was that I was going to own or operate from the jump, and we were had no idea what this place was going to be, but that was a thought process. That kind of evolved and started to go down towards more just the real estate side. So, okay, hey, real estate development and acquisition, kind of dove headfirst into that realm. That's where I've spent most of my time up until the new year, where things went south here and had to make a decision to then take on the operating side for this space. But yeah, I guess going back to your question, I would just start having conversations with people. Just put it out there. You'll have no idea what you'll be good at or what you might be interested in. You'll have no idea until you're in it, really.
Yeah.
So just It could be anything. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely want to, if it is the end, I definitely want to get into something where you get a little bit of a profit share, anything like that. You know what I mean? Like somewhere you can have a little bit of kill what you eat, something like that, you know. Yeah. But what that looks like, I think there's just so many different ways. So just a fact-finding mission, bro. You know, something like that. Something like that.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You're a smart dude.
Yeah, and I got time, so that's nice too. You know, I don't have to have a job tomorrow. Says every unemployed person ever. But yeah, here we are.
I love it. All right, to wrap up, do you guys have any shout-outs? Anything, anybody, anything, any places you want to shout out?
First off, I wanted to thank you guys for your words of wisdom at the end there for me. I really appreciate it. And, you know, it's kind of scary going into the last years of college. You know, I'm now a vet guy, and being called a vet guy is even scary because now from what I was 2 years ago to being the guy looking up to all the older guys, I'm now the older guy. Yeah. Well, the young guys
happens
look up
fast.
to. So
yeah.
it happens very fast. So, you know, I'm just trying to enjoy it, do what I can, and do it to the best of my ability. But shout out Mom and Dad. I love you guys. Wish you could have been here tonight, but I know you are celebrating Mom's birthday down in Cayman very well. And make sure to keep up with your 2025 Indiana Hoosier football team because great things are happening.
Love it.
Well said.
Wow, that was good.
That was great.
What do you got, Coy?
Not a whole lot. I just want to say thank you. I feel like the older I get, I feel like the less I know, but the more excited I am to learn about it. So I'm just going to keep going on this path and keep a smile on my face and, you know, see what happens. And, you know, to anyone listening, one bad day doesn't define you. One mistake doesn't define you. A lot of my friends have made mistakes. I've made a million mistakes, but I still get to sit up here, smile, and talk to anyone who's listening. So just don't let any one thing define you. You're more than that. You always will be. A lot of people love you. So anyone who's going through anything like that, just remember that, you know, sometimes the world's a little bit bigger than just yourself.
Love that. Also, shout out Dan Feeney because we never circle back on him.
Shout out Daniel. You got to get him on. That'd be electric.
Oh, yeah, we definitely do. He
best hair in the game.
What a guy.
All 32.
Oh, my gosh.
All 32. No one better.
I agree. I will shout out, you guys, thanks for making the trip over. Both of you guys drove a good bit to come over here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
yeah, for sure.
Big dog.
Yeah, this was fun. I was looking forward to it. I'm glad we did it. This was a great second episode. So you guys made it a great deal for me. Shout out the Mayflower. That's where we're at right now.
Yep.
Mayflower, the Encore. Let's see, we fired up January 1 of this year. We're rolling through. Plenty of obstacles in the way, but you know we're chugging along. We should have our permanent liquor license here soon. That'll be a huge plus for us. Then we're working on getting the rooftop bar finished up. So
gotta have it.
That'll
non-negotiable
on this building.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. There's
wow.
Elevator shaft over there that'll take you up to a rooftop bar. So we're working on getting that wrapped up, and that'll be a game changer.
I love it. Gotta have it. I mean, you can't talk about a rooftop bar and not deliver a rooftop bar.
Yeah.
You gotta have a rooftop bar.
If it never comes, I'm a fraud. 100%.
Yeah. I'll be back. I'll check it out.
Shout out Rural Desk in West Milton, a little co-working space that we launched the start of this year, and yeah. Moms out there, shout out Brave Breed Rescue. If looking for a rescue dog, Mom's got plenty of them. She's rescuing more and more every day. I don't know how she does it. She works tirelessly to save at-risk dogs. So, yeah, I think that's all I got. I appreciate it, guys.
Love it.
And, yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.